Hello, everyone, and welcome to Molehill Mountain, episode 405. Andrew here. Well, there's some things going on this week, so of course I'm going to talk about them. And those things are the new Predator movie hit whatever streaming service it was. I think it was Hulu. So there's actually two new Predator movies. One just came out in Hulu, and it's called Predator, Killer of Killers. And it's a cartoon, it's an anthology, and I like me my anthologies. The second one is Predator Badlands, which comes out, I think, in the fall. Not sure if it's streaming or theatrical or what, but that one's live action. And apparently a predator is the protagonist. So, alright. Get some hot predator on predator action. But Killa of Killas, the cartoon anthology that just came out yesterday or the day before, I watched it last night, I believe, and I really quite liked it. One, because it's pretty good. And two, because it was personally validating. You see, I've been saying for decades now that the Predator franchise should just match the Predators against awesome types of peoples, like Vikings, or ninja, or samurai. And that's what this movie is, and yeah, it's good. I was right. And so was, everyone else who said exactly the same thing and has been saying the same thing for 30-some years. But it's nice to be proven correct. So, Predator, Killer of Killers is an anthology cartoon. The first sequence is Predators versus Predator versus Vikings. Second one is Predator versus Samurai and Ninja. And the third one is Predator dogfighting with World War II pilots. So that's fun. And of course, there, as most anthologies do, there's a wraparound story that ties everything together in kind of a fun way. I don't think everything needs to be animated on twos. Yes, the Spider-Verse movies are very cool. Well, the second one is. I didn't really like the first one that much. I didn't dislike it, but I've always had a bit of a bug up my bum about the first movie. I really like the second one, though. Maybe it's cheaper to animate on twos. I don't know. It's clear this didn't have the highest budget, but, it's pretty good. And I was actually pleasantly surprised. I don't know why. I was like, it's probably going to be fairly shallow. There's going to be, each sequence is going to be 20-some minutes, and it's just going to be, here's a Predator versus a Viking, plop, right? No, they actually, tell a little mini story with the plot and theme and character and arc. Neat. It's there's like components of a story, and Killer of Killers actually uses and employs them. Ha ha ha! Ain't that a thing? The Spider-Verse movies would be better if they were in parts. Oh, if they weren't in parts. Kill Bill 1 and 2 was separated by 6 months. The Lord of the Rings movies were separated by 12 months. The Spider-Verse movies, because animated films take a really long time to make, are separated by many years. So, yeah, I agree. I don't know how they get around that. A lot of streaming shows on streaming services kind of have the same problem where they'll release a batch of episodes as season whatever, and then it will be a couple of years Nocturne, for example, the second season of Castlevania Nocturne, uh, it wasn't that many years, but it was more than one. Uh, there was a bit of time between season one and two of Arcane, enough to where it's like I don't really remember who all the people are or how they relate to each other or really what was going on, and I don't really want to watch the entire first season again. So, yeah, I think if you're going to have kind of a continuous story, you really don't want more than a year between your seasons. You start branching out into multiple years, and then sieve-brained ninnies like me are not going to remember what the hell's going on. And Spider-Verse 2 uh, ends on, well, it doesn't really end, it stops. It ends on a cliffhanger. I imagine Spider-Verse 3 is going to pick up like the moment Spider-Verse 2 leaves off, which means when Spider-Verse 3 comes out, sometime in the future, I'm going to be like, there's probably going to be some characters and moments and plot points that I'm just not going to remember. Particularly if they call back to something in the first movie. So, yeah, I agree. That's, that can work to the series' detriment. But Predator, Killer of Killers, I did see Prey. Same Dan Trachtenberg or something like that. Did Prey a year or so ago. That was Predator versus Comanche. Cool, and it was cool. So looks like he's doing a pretty decent job with the franchise. So. He's also responsible for Killer Killers and the Badlands, so hopefully things will continue to go well. But yeah, I really quite enjoyed Killer of Killers. Not like a masterpiece, not a perfect movie. Few things are, don't need to be, but I really, really quite enjoyed it. So, huzzah! Yeah, you know what I wanted to talk about? Something I didn't even put on my list. I've been kind of browsing around Crunchyroll and the like. Trying out different shows, seeing if anything strikes my fancy. Looking for the next great anime. And I've been dabbling here and there, and I found some stuff that I thought was had good premise or was off to a good start. I talked in weeks past about the something or other Too Many Losing Heroines. That one is solid. Not something I feel I must own and put on the shelf. Not something I'm ever going to revisit. Not entirely successful, I don't think, but does a lot really well, which is why I took the time to talk about it a few weeks ago. Well, I have found another in the past week, and I think it's really quite charming. And it's called Catch Me at the Ballpark. So, the broad premise of the show is it's about a young woman out of high school. She's like 20 years old, and she works as a beer vendor at a baseball stadium. So she wears a keg of beer on her back, and she wanders around selling cups of beer. So she's like, beer, 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 and like, I'll buy a beer, and she pours it out from her backpack and gives them the beer. Right, she's a beer vendor. I don't know if that's an actual thing. I've not been to a baseball park since I was in the single-digit ages, so I don't remember beer vendors like that. So either that's a Japan thing, or not a California thing, at least not in the 80s, or it's a newer thing. I don't know. Has anyone been to a ballpark in the last decade? Do they have beer vendors wandering around? Or do you have to actually go to a concession stand? That's pretty neat, anyway. But I read the premise. I'm like, well, okay, that's different. I didn't even know that was a thing. So, all right, the adventures of Susie, the beer vendor at the ballpark, and it's actually an ensemble piece. And the show is really presented as a variety of vignettes starring the various characters and personalities that work at or visit the ballpark. So while our Susie the beer vendor is our main protagonist, and there's a bunch of side characters that take the focus, even though you'll see Susie wandering around in the background most of the time. You've got two security guards. You've got the woman who runs the concession stand, and her whole deal is she really wants to be a beer vendor because she thinks the uniform is cute, but she's hyper competent and keeps getting raises and promotions at the concession stand, so she's kind of stuck there, which is kind of a funny conceit. Her boss keeps coming up to her and is like, "Hey, Julie, guess what?" She's like, "What?" "I'm gonna give you a promotion." She's like, "No, no, I want to wear the fun beer vendor costume. I don't want to work at the concession counter because I'm just wearing slacks and a hairnet. This is boring. It's not cute at all." There's the baseball the mascot character. There are a couple of the players. There's the woman who does the stadium announcing. There a bunch of different patrons. Like one lady who's constantly visiting is the wife of one of the players, but she is always like incognito. She's like, wearing big sunglasses and stuff. And because I guess she just doesn't want her husband to know that she's there. She wants to root him on from afar. And she does weird things like they'll sell little player-themed bento boxes at the concession stand, and she'll like buy all of her husband's bento boxes. And then she runs into like the girlfriend of a different player who's buying her boyfriend's bento boxes. So they both buy like a stack of 6 bento boxes and are chowing. It's really funny. It's funny. It's charming, and it isn't about the romantic lives of high school kids. Like several of the characters are like 30 years old. So catch me at the ballpark. Streaming right now on Crunchyroll, I believe, and I found it very charming and funny. So recommend that one. All right, so you might not have noticed, but Nintendo released a brand new console this week. Now, you probably didn't notice because Nintendo just didn't really seem to make a big deal about it. I mean, they had a big Nintendo Direct 2 months ago, and then just kind of went radio silent. Like, no one really had any advanced previews. No, I saw a couple articles, like, I saw the article with GameStop stapling the receipts to the front of the boxes, which is punching through into the system screen. Saw a couple articles talking about whether the price would go up or whether they'd be able to maintain stock. But it's possible I'm just looking at. I'm old and my finger is very far from the pulse, and everyone is really knows about it and is excited. But man, I'm picking up on just absolute zero hype. But it came out this week, and I know, let's see, I think Chaos, Jazzy, and Lee all got one. And I have a Switch 2. That's a dumb joke. So, no, I do not have the Switch 2. Will I buy it? Yes, probably eventually. Nintendo released an infographic earlier this week, and should have prepped this. This is very unprofessional of me. So Nintendo released an infographic earlier this week boasting all of the games that are launching with the Switch 2. So it's a grid of different games, and it's a, let's see, it's 6x6, 6x5. So 30, and 2 of them are pictures of the actual console. Which is kind of cheating, but eh. So let's luxuriate in this infographic and see what's available. So, Mario Kart World. That's the big one. That's the exclusive. You'll only play that on the Switch 2, and people love Mario Kart, except me, because I'm a putz. Like, I like Mario Kart from a distance. Like, it's got Mario characters, and it's pretty, and the music is good, and the levels are neat. I have absolutely zero desire to play it, though. It's kind of like Smash Brothers for me. I love Smash Brothers. I just don't have any interest in playing it. Right? It's a celebration of, dorky video game things. I love that. Mario Kart is a lot of the same way. Racing games bore the hell out of me. I find them so utterly boring to play. So it's just not a game for me. But that's the big one. It's an exclusive, and Nintendo should be very proud and should be, singing it from the tops of the mountain, saying, "Hey, all, we're charging $80 for this, but yeah, it's good, yo. So you should have it." All right. So let's see. Chaos got Mario Kart, Cyberpunk, and Rune Factory. All right. So Mario Kart, nice, well done, great launch title. Good reason for most people, not this dork, but most people to get a Switch 2. Next we have The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, which came out 8 years ago on the Switch and the Wii U. So, but it runs a bit better on the Switch 2, so if you really want to play it again, you can. It's got a couple extra little features. Like, apparently Zelda texts you or something like that, which is cute. Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Oh, that's another game that's been out for quite a while. Oh okay. But again, it better loading times. So that's cool. I mean, every launch is going to have third-party games. Every launch is going to have games that came out some time ago. That is the nature of the beast. It's no slight on a console launch that every single game that's launching isn't a brand new game exclusive to that console only. So next we have an actual exclusive to the Switch console, the Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, which is $10. I don't know that anyone other than like reviewers are going to buy it, and even then they're probably getting review codes. It's essentially like charging extra for the instruction manual. That's a choice. But it is an exclusive. Next is the Switch 2. Oh, I'm sorry. That's just a picture of the console in this infographic of Switch. Well, I mean, this is what's available on June 5th. And yeah, the Switch 2 was available on June 5th. The picture's in here twice. Street Fighter 6. Cool. That's a lesser version of a game that came out a few years ago. Bravely Default. It's a pretty old game. Cyberpunk. This is the version that works. But, again, a lesser version of a game that came out a few years ago. Fortnite. Okay. Split Fiction. Yeah, it came out a couple months ago, so, not too bad. Yakuza 0. Well, that came out about a decade ago, but it's a director's cut, so it's got a couple new features, so that's neat. Hogwarts Legacy. Fuck J.K. Rowling. That transphobic piece of shit. Hitman World of Assassins. The game's been out for a while. Deltarune. So is that. Rune Factory. Let me double check. Rune Factory is I wrote this down somewhere. Where did I write it? Oh, I wrote it on a tweet and I deleted it. Yeah, I think Rune Factory is a new one. Fast Fusion's a new one. So there we go. There's some new stuff. Civilization 7. Okay, old. Survival Kids. Been out. Puyo Puyo. That's been out. Fantasy Life. Came out a couple of weeks ago, so, we'll let, so that one's fairly new. It's multi-platform, but also fairly new. A couple GameCube games. Those are very old. No Man's Sky, like Cyberpunk 2077, it's the one that actually works and has a game in it. It's also many, many years old at this point. Sonic Shadow, old. That Capcom one where you have the Path of... I can't read it, it's too small, but that one came out within the last year. It's fairly new. Nobunaga's Ambition, old. Ridge Racer, old. Suikoden, well, that version, the games are old, but that version came out, 2 months ago. And then that's updating a couple Switch games like ARMS and Captain Toad and Mario Odyssey and so on, so forth. So, yeah, so Nintendo Switch 2 launched with mostly lesser versions of old games. So if you're sitting there thinking, man, I really want to play a worse version of Cyberpunk 2077. Well, have I got news for you. Yeah, so about 20% of the games are at least recent. So that's nice. Needless to say, I don't have the Switch 2 because there's nothing here that I want to play. Mario Kart World, as I said, great game, just not for me. Zelda's, I've played both of them. Molehill Tour, I'm not paying $10 for. Yakuza 0, already played it years ago. Yeah, that's it. Suikoden I already have on the PS5. Yeah, basically, if I wanted to play most of these games, I can play better versions of them on other consoles, and I could have done that years ago. Let's see. Chaos says, to be fair, Street Fighter 6 looks better on Switch 2 than on Series S. Really? Well, good on it. Chaos says, Donkey Kong comes out in just over a month. Yep. So, let's, now that I'm being a bit snide, let's work on the positivity and talk about Switch 2 games that I'm actually looking forward to. And like Chaos just mentioned, Donkey Kong Bonanza, which comes out in July and looks like it could be pretty neat. But it doesn't come out till July, so I don't need a Switch 2 until July. But Donkey Kong Bonanza is a game that, if I really want to play, I'm going to need a Switch 2 because it's not available on any other platform. Same thing with Metroid Prime 4. Wait, no, that's also coming out on the Switch, so I guess I don't need a Switch 2 to play it? But, if I'm going to get a Switch 2 for Donkey Kong Bonanza, may as well get, Metroid Prime 4 on the Switch 2 also. Hyrule Warriors. I forget what the subtitle is, but the new Hyrule Warriors. That one's a maybe. We'll have to see a little more. I really enjoyed Hyrule Warriors on the Wii U. I didn't play Age of Calamity on the Switch. I think I played the demo, and the damn thing runs at like 12 frames a second. So I was like, So I skipped that one. I might be up for some more Hyrule Warriors if it runs well. Yeah, that one's a maybe. Rhythm Heaven Groove. This one, as far as I know, has not been announced for Switch 2. It was announced at the Direct prior to the Switch 2 Direct. And it's slated for 2026. I would assume it's also coming out for Switch 2, so maybe it'll like be native 4K or something. Who knows? The Professor Layton game could be neat. I like Professor Layton. Haven't played one of those in quite some time. So, That's also coming out on the Switch, but still. The new AI Somnium files, that's something I might keep my eye on. I don't like the first two, but maybe there's more game there. So, of course, AI Somnium files I could also play on the Switch or PC, but and I would kind of be surprised if it didn't also hit like PS5 or something, because the other Somnium files did. Eh. Let's see. Hyrule Warriors runs just fine on Switch 2. Oh, that's right. Hyrule Warrior. The system is backwards compatible with almost everything. Like one of the only things that's not backwards compatible is the Labo thing, because it's a different size console. It literally doesn't fit in the cardboard. But yeah, hey, that's a fair point. Maybe Age of Calamity runs properly on the Switch too, and would be worth playing there. Who knows? So yeah, Donkey Kong and Metroid Prime, maybe, and Rhythm Heaven, maybe Hyrule Warriors, maybe Professor Layton, maybe AI Somnium Files. That's really just three games: Donkey Kong, Metroid, and Rhythm Heaven. I mean, I assume they'll have another Zelda at some point, and for me personally, I hope they move away from the Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom formula, because I don't really like it. Um, and has there been a new full 3D Mario game since Odyssey in 2017? Hey, we're due for another Mario game at some point too. I mean, they did have Bowser's Fury, but that was attached to 3D World, which I already played on the Wii U, and I didn't want to rebuy the whole thing just to play Bowser's Fury. Would have liked to play Bowser's Fury. Would have bought it as a standalone. I mean, like not for $60 or anything, but you know, if they sold it separately, I would have bought it. Or if they would have done something like, "Hey, we see that you bought Super Mario World 3D World on the Wii U. Give us $20 and we'll let you buy Bowser's Fury." I've been fine with that. Lindy, hello. So, this week also is kind of pseudo E3 week, and we've had a lot of digital presentations. Very long, very boring, very poorly put together presentations full of trailers put together by people who do not know how to cut a good trailer. But at least there was significantly, so far anyway, we've still got a few more to go. The PC events tomorrow, Microsoft's events tomorrow. Normally I complain how a goodly chunk of trailers leave the audience going, okay, what's the game though? Significantly less of that. So that's good. Trying to be positive. So I've watched all of the events and I've written down all the stuff that caught my eye. So, Spirit of the North 2, the sequel to Spirit of the North. I spelled that wrong. Let me fix that. I can't have spelling errors in my notes. The game is it's a little platformer, and you play as a fox. And what I found funny about this presentation of the game is the developer was on screen talking about how they've made so many improvements to the sequel. They said, the first game, the poor fox controls, they were just the first game was kind of hard to play because the fox didn't control too terribly well, and we know that the fox controls in the first game were bad, and that's just a matter of no one in the entire video game industry has ever figured out quadruped controls. That's why there've, to this point, been 0 video games where you play like a dog or a cat or a horse. That's just never happened in video games before. There are no games where you ride a horse. There are no games where you play a cat wandering around a robot apocalypse, or you play as like a cannibal Pomeranian. Okami doesn't exist. No one has ever figured out quadrupedal animal controls. But the developers of Spirit of the North 2 sure have, so look forward to Spirit of the North 2, the very first game to feature adequate quadruped controls. No one's ever done it before. They've tried, but it's always been... I just found it really poor form and silly for them to be like, oh, no one's ever figured this out before. I mean, who do you think you're kidding, bub? Pathologic 3 looks neat. I didn't really have much to say about it, but looks pretty neat. It's like looks like there's like a kind of an adventure game where there's a plague and you gotta do your doctory things to figure stuff out. It looked kind of neat. Atomic Heart 2, or is it Atomic Hearts 2? I don't know, and I don't really care. What I found very funny with Jeff Keighley, who's just such a terrible host. He is impressively bad at this. I mean, it's his show. Anyway, he amusingly said that Atomic Heart 2 is the spiritual successor to the first game. Atomic Heart Part 2 is the spiritual successor to Atomic Heart. Or Hearts. I'm not sure if it's plural or not. Now, I didn't play the first game, so I can't really compare the first game to what we saw of the second, but if it's called Atomic Heart 2, it's probably just a direct sequel, not a spiritual successor. Like, that's not how this works. Resident Evil 2, the spiritual successor to Resident Evil. What? There's a boxing game which looks like Punch-Out. Only it stars felt puppets. So instead of Little Mac and big cartoon characters like King Hippo and such, you have felt puppets beating the snot out of each other, and it's called Felt That. Which, a pretty good name. I felt that. Yeah, I like that. That makes me happy. We found out that RGG's new game, Project Century, which we saw a teaser for a couple of months ago, now has a new name. It's called Stranger Than Heaven. But more interesting, perhaps, is this game looks like it could take place over the decades, if not a full century. Because the first trailer that we saw a couple of months ago starred a different dude in a different place in like 1914 or 15. This current trailer, different dude, different place. Looks like Sotenbori from many of the Yakuza games, but in like 1945 or 46 or 47 or somewhere. So that's kind of interesting. We might be playing different characters through different places in different eras. So that's neat. And looks like you get to punch people in the face, which is always fun. Anime Momo, hello, haven't seen you in a while, hope you're well. Let's see, there was a game called Snap and Grab, which is a really neat concept. It's you're stealing stuff from like mansions, museums, whatever, and so you have to make a plan, break in, grab the loot, and get out. One of those games, right? The gimmick in this game, as you might be able to deduce from Snap and Grab, is your Jim Phelps-like character is a photographer. So she goes in, she cases the joints by walking on in and taking pictures. and you use those pictures to plan your whole heist. So you use the like Polaroids that you've taken to plot where you're going to enter, where you're going to exit, where the guards are, where the traps are, where the loot that you're going to grab is. That's an interesting idea. Unfortunately, the trailer, like many of the trailers, didn't really go into mechanically how that works. So I'm left going, oh, okay, I get what the game is, so that's good. And I've got the general concept, and that seems neat. I really would have liked to see a demonstration of how it actually plays. That'd have been nice. But no, alas, no. The next game that caught my eyeballs, actually a very similar game called Relooted. Also a break into a place, steal stuff, and go out. But the difference between this one and Snap and Grab, well, one, no camera. Two, the whole concept of this one is you're not stealing stuff, you're taking back the stolen property that museums around the world are holding, right? A lot of museums in a lot of different places are holding the property of other countries, particularly African countries. Go figure. So, you are part of a team that goes around and gets back all these stolen goods. And they've got a whole story behind it where there was like a worldwide treaty finally signed that said museums have to all artifacts put up for public display have to be returned to their country of origin upon request. Cool! Yay! Step in the right direction. Unfortunately, all the museums just go, okay, well, we're just going to keep all that stuff in private viewings. So they found a little loophole. And museums today, of course, do crap like that, where they'll just, they won't even display stuff, they'll just keep it in storage forever. So, I like the, I'm like, oh, hey, we get to break into museums and take back stuff for the people who own them. That's pretty cool. And, you know, it looks like it could be fun. You case the joint, you go in and you set things up so that you have a path out. You take the thing, which you take whatever the object is, which trips an alarm, and then you have to basically, do the Metroid escape. You've got 30 seconds to get out of there before the doors close or the guards descend on you. Looks like it could be a pretty neat game to play too. So, yay for that one. Momo says I'm looking forward to quite a few games that were announced. Well, good, because man, I've watched hours of game trailers and not a whole hell of a lot. Resident Evil Requiem. Would have been nice if we'd seen really any gameplay, but I mean, it doesn't come out till 2026, and it's the 9th mainline Resident Evil game. We know how these play, so. So hooray for Resident Evil. I'm sure it'll be fine. Looks like we're going back to the Raccoon City, at least what's left of it. We're playing someone named Grace Ashford, who apparently is the relation of Alyssa Ashford, who was in Resident Evil Outbreak, which is one of the games I think they should remake, because that one was a really cool premise, just the execution was kind of crap. And make it single player, because I don't like multiplayer. Cater to my every whim, video game industry, that's all I ask. Also, if I'm not mistaken, I think Ashford is the family name of the people behind the Umbrella Corporation, so. But anyway, she's an FBI agent. She gets sent to Raccoon City to investigate murders or something, and she gets strapped to a gurney upside down and menaced by monsters. It's Resident Evil. I'm sure it'll be fine. Again, would have been nice if we could have seen something. Oh, it was kind of cute that one of the devs of the game was like, "Hey, we're gonna be celebrating the 30th anniversary of Resident Evil, and we're working on the new one. But don't worry, we'll have a preview for you in a blink of an eye." And then they had it like two or three trailers later. I'm like, okay, that's pretty good. Um, there's another game called the Bureau of Fantastical and Arcane Affairs, which is seems to be kind of a business management or paper pushing game where you're focused on the bureaucracy behind a fantasy setting. Like the idea of maybe an adventurers guild and how it's funded and how payments are approved, like how you divvy up quests, how you pay the adventurers, insurance, selling off magical items or identifying items that can't be sold to the public, that kind of stuff. I'm like, hey, that's a potentially fun idea. Unfortunately, again, the trailer gave almost no indication of how the game actually plays. But looking into the mundane bureaucracy of fun stuff that we take for granted, for example, Star Wars Andor, that does a nice job of looking into the mundane bureaucracy behind fascism, which is kind of funny. Because it's the things you don't think about. You're like, oh, laser spaceships. It's like, yeah, well, someone's got to punch a time card somewhere. Someone's got to be, requisitioning supplies and approving payroll and orders and stuff like that. That's kind of funny. And this is kind of doing the same thing, apparently, in a fantasy setting. And it's a fun idea. I have no idea how the game plays. Seems like something you might want to communicate in a video game trailer. But that's just me. There's a game called Scum. And I remember almost nothing about it. I think it's a shooter, but the approach that they took for marketing Scum was to boast all of the negative Steam reviews that they had. So they're like, people on Steam are saying this about our game. Most horrible game ever. Don't play this. It's too hard. The stupid mechs are invincible. Blah, 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 blah. My favorite negative review was, I'd rather buy WinRare. That's probably funny to very few people, but that was really funny to me. And I'm like, wow. That's, I'd rather buy WinRare. That's pretty good. And lastly, we've got Crystal, which is a shooter, but it's got some interesting character design, and it's got a concept where you're shooting, your guns shoot blood, apparently your blood, because like the grip of the gun is like all spiky, so you have to grab it and squeeze it hard, and I guess it sucks the blood out of your hand. There's like a bolt action rifle where instead of a little handle that you pull up, pull back, push forward, and lock back down, it's literally a spike sticking out of the side that you just have to slam your fist on the spike to pull it back. I'm like, ow, that's really funny. No idea if the game's any good, but I thought that was pretty funny. There's just a bunch of guns that you have to prick your finger on in order to get it to work properly, which I thought was neat. And yeah, that's about it. I did think it was really funny that Keeley had a few moments where he was talking about Oh, Claire Obscure 33rd Expedition is made by a team of 30 people. I mean, if you don't count all of the contractors and everyone else who worked on the game, it's like, dude, the game's out. We can see the credits. It's more than 30 people. I'm sure that the studio has a main development team of 30 people, but more than 30 people worked on the game. Come on. And then he had another thing where he's talking about some indie game, and he was like, "Oh, this game was made by one guy and like 10 of his friends." I'm like, "That's 11, dude. What are you doing?" I mean, we've got enough problems with video game companies just laying people off left and right because they think, "Oh man, these games." I don't know why we need to pay 100 people to make this game when apparently you can make Balatro with just one person. It's like, or several other, I mean, look, Claire Obscure was made with only 30 people. We don't need to pay 200 people. We can just, fire people, lay off people left and right because you don't need that many people. So probably not the smartest thing to say at this moment in time where the industry is where it is. And then I watched Devolver Digital's presentation, which was fairly short this year. It was only one game, so it was only 15 minutes. It was pretty funny, though. But the main joke about Devolver Digital's presentation this year was one guy made this game along with 5 other people who were standing over there being like, "Hi." That was the whole joke, is that like they kept interviewing this one guy who's the one guy who made this game all by himself with 5 other people. I'm like, wow, that was Devolver really hit the nail on the head with a timely joke, because holy biscuits. Chaos says, "Wish I could say the same. I was thoroughly unimpressed by Summer Game Fest and State of Play." Yeah, I don't think I have anything on my list from State of Play, and Summer Games Fest was boring as hell. But I tell you what, if there's anything I learned from Summer Games Fest, we need more roguelikes and more Souls-likes. We don't have enough of those. Oh, and team-based shooters. Gotta have more of those. There's not enough. Of course, I'm being facetious. There's just a boy roguelikes. Maybe we need a roguelike, Souls-like team-based shooter developed by one person and 157 friends and about 100 other contractors. Yeah, Summer Games Fest was a bit of a slog. Part of that is Jeff Keighley is. In some way, I harp on this all the time. He's just such a stunningly bad MC. He's really genuinely, objectively terrible at hosting shows. He owns the thing. He can do what the hell he wants. But I feel bad about pointing that out all the time. I just like it's so stunning to me. I'm like, does he have no self-awareness, or is it just, look, I know I'm terrible at this, but I love it. I mean, I don't believe you, but if that's the case, hey, like if you can't sing for poo, but you just really love singing, or you can't dance at all, but you love to dance, by gum, sing and dance. Record it. Put it on YouTube for all the world to see. That's totally fine. But I I I don't think that's the case. I think he's just a not very good hosting is not his skill set, but he thinks he should. I don't know. I shouldn't try to psychoanalyze the guy. I almost hope he's a jerk because I'm so mean to him all the time. I mean, it's really rude of me to sit here going, "Wow, this guy just sucks." I'm sure he makes an awesome potato salad or something, but although the doing that. Oh, this game was made by one person and 11 friends. That was ill advised, but yeah, yeah. Let's see. Tomorrow we've got Xbox and PC. I like the guy who hosts the PC shows. I forget, with Sean something or other. He and the hosts he hosts with, I think are solid. Um, so there's that. I mean, at least most of these. Also, I don't know. I'm happy that there were significantly less trailers for games that I came away from going, what is the game though? There were precious few of those this time so far. We'll see what tomorrow brings. But well, actually, tomorrow I'm um, Sunday stream, and then I have to film and edit a video, which is going to take all day. So I don't know when I'm going to watch that stuff. Uh, should I don't think I'm gonna do it tonight, but I'm gonna probably film my Raf Scrap behind the scenes video maybe tonight, but probably tomorrow night. And I want to have that edited and ready for this coming week, maybe Wednesday or something. So look out for that. But yeah, trailers. Not many trailers where I didn't even know what the game was, but a lot of trailers that just not very good at selling their game. Like, some of them go so far as to, it's like, hey, we've got this really cool idea. I'm like, oh, that is a neat idea. How's it play? Oh, you're not gonna show us that? Oh. Well, okay then. So as much guff as I give Nintendo, even if they have a bunch of games that I'm not interested in, Nintendo is, for my money, by far and away the best at actually selling its stuff. It does a pretty damn good job at, here's what the game is, here's how it plays. Now, I may not be interested in that game, but I know what it is and I know how it plays. Very rarely will I come off of a Nintendo presentation going, okay, what's the game though? Or, golly, would be nice if we actually saw some of that concept put into mechanical action. I mean, occasionally they have, teasers for games that are years out, like, Metroid Prime 4 or Bayonetta 3 at the time. That's just, hey, we're working on this. See you in several years. So yeah, that's it for me. I'm at least when I do get the Switch 2, I don't have to buy a Switch 2 Pro controller. I can just use my regular Switch Pro controller. Or you know what? Maybe the Switch 2 Joy-Cons feel great in the hands, and maybe I won't mind using them. Seriously doubt that, but I'm open to be pleasantly surprised. I think one of the biggest shocks of my life was the first time I wrapped my little paws around the Joy-Con controllers and made a face like I had a mouthful of doggy doo. For those who never saw it, I did a unboxing for the Switch. The Switch I didn't buy until it came out March of 2017. I didn't buy it until like September or October of that year, because Mario Odyssey. But that fall, when I finally bought the Switch, no retailer actually had Switch demo units. I imagine they were like, well, there isn't really a good way to lock these small Joy-Cons down to the demo station, so I never saw it demoed anywhere. So I'd never held a Joy-Con, and something Nintendo's been known for is ergonomics. Like, first time you wrap your hands around it, you go, oh, ooh, that's nice, right? So that's what I was expecting with the Switch. I was like, wow, I mean, those don't look great, but you know, I trust Nintendo, man. So I did a unboxing video. I bought the Switch and I unboxed it. And I was like all super excited, and I grabbed the Joy-Con, and my face just scrunches up like I have the most disgusting thing in my mouth. It's really funny to me. Because I was like, oh, these are terrible. These feel horrible. Oh, the button clickies are terrible. What happened? This is a Nintendo controller? Oh my god. Yeah, I did not have a positive review. So that was yeah, I definitely need to buy a Pro controller. And I did. So, yeah, I think the video is called like a Nintendo Joy-Cons or dog shit, something like that. Let me see if I can find it real quick and put it in the chat. Let's search my channel for dog shit. Fanboy discovers Nintendo Switch Joy-Con is utter dog shit. Yeah, that's it. There we go. Chaos says Switch 2 Joy-Cons are better, though the Pro controller all the way. Yeah, pretty much what I was expecting. It's like, I imagine that, now that I know what I'm expecting with the Joy-Con, I imagine once I have the Joy-Con 2s in my hands, I'll be like, okay, those are better. I still don't want to use them, but yeah, that's better. So, alright. Yeah, I think that is where we will call it for tonight. I did, if you check out my channel, I did, referring to Cold Steel on the Sunday stream, I did go back and refight Zephyr so that I could beat them in, or rather get their HP down to 30% or whatever, within 40 turns. So I did that, and there's a 8-minute video or so of me doing that if you really want to watch that. I don't think any of the dialogue changes, but I did notice that Reen has a sigh after that fight that I just didn't notice. So I added that to the Reen sigh counter. So huzzah. So we've got an extra sigh to the counter, and we've got 3 extra AP. So hooray. Anyway, more Cold Steel 2 tomorrow at noon. Hope to see you there. And until then, have a good night, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.